As a kid playing video games, you really don't have to worry about much. But as you grow older, time eludes you. I remember growing up and hearing the phrase, you only get 2 out of these 3, and it's pictured in a triangle. You get a career, you get sleep, and you get a social life. Pick 2, because that's all you get. You can't have all 3 unless you do drugs, right? If you want sleep and a social life, you're probably gonna be dirt poor. If you want a career and a social life, you're probably gonna have no sleep. And if you want sleep and a career, you're certainly not gonna have a social life. Well, as you get older, I wish it got simpler. I wish that you were able to find time to have more than all 3, but unfortunately, as you get older, you get married, you have kids, there's a 4th one to the mix that gets in, and that is being a parent. Now, this applies great to video games because when it comes to video games as a whole, you can have 2 of 4 things: portability, price, performance, and lastly, ease of use. Now, as time has gone on, you guys know very, very well where I stand when it comes to my portable devices. I am myself a self-proclaimed portable papa, and for those of you out there who are also parents who play portables and are into gaming, you might be a portable parent as well. But as a portable papa, my whole gaming life and technology is dedicated to the portable atmosphere. Now, I personally have always been a really big fan of portables since I was very little, but that isn't really necessarily why I play portables today. I play portables today because I have kids, and with that comes a lot of flexibility necessary for me. And so portability is massive, and flexibility with that portability is actually the most important aspect of the whole gaming thing. Just last night, fortunately, I'm exhausted right now, but just last night, my daughter was awoken by a terrible coughing fit. You see, she's been sick. My son also has been sick. They seem to be going up and down and up and down and every which way to Tuesday. Them being sick means that I don't get to sleep as easily because I worry. And as a parent, we worry about our children. And so as a somewhat concerned father, because my daughter is coughing and can't sleep, I of course suggest, hey, come sleep on Dada. We'll go downstairs, we'll sit on the couch, and you can just sleep on me. Well, when you're a parent, or at least for me, maybe not for you, but when your children are sick, it's not really the easiest for you to sleep. I know I myself have a hard time sleeping when I know that my kid is not able to sleep because they're sick. And so, of course, I was awake. Well, the first thing I did as I was setting up myself, and I suggested she slept on me because I'm more vertical and she's coughing, right? As I went and grabbed my Steam Deck. And I'm like, well, she's going to be sleeping, hopefully, and I'm just going to play my Steam Deck on my chest. While she sleeps on my chest, it's going to be great. It was great. In fact, there was a moment when I was sitting there and she just goes, Dada, and I go, yes. And she goes, I feel better. I love you, and gave me a hug. And it was the most magnificent feeling. It was incredible. I absolutely adored that moment. I ended up setting stuff up upstairs with my wife because our living room is so big and we couldn't really get the humidifier to fill the room, so she ended up finishing the evening with my wife. But still, I had been awake, and so I just sat on the couch and played through Monster Hunter Worlds a little bit because I wanted to try that game out because I just recently got the whole Monster Hunter series on the Steam Deck. Now, when it comes to these four, you only get to pick 2, it really is true, and I'll kind of walk you through each portable that I use and how it applies, right? So again, to go through all 4 of those, you have portability, price, power or performance, and ease of use. The ease of use one is the added one, just like how parenting is the added one for the life one. Ease of use is something I feel like is very, very important. So let's start with something like this guy, the PlayStation Portal. This is by far, out of all of the handhelds, I mean with the exception of like an emulation device, out of all of the handhelds, the least expensive thing, offering price and what I would consider to be performance. Now with price and performance, you have yourself couple things that get sacrificed. First off is portability. The portability of this, I guess technically it is 100% a portable device, but the flexibility that comes with that portability, which is a very important factor, is not there whatsoever. Because this device, as it stands, is one that needs to be connected to a wireless network at all times in order for you to be able to play your PlayStation games. Now, arguably, the price point, I guess, isn't there either, if you want to look at it that way, because technically you need your PlayStation 5 to utilize this. So I guess it goes from $200 to $450 cheapest if you're going with an all digital device. But that is, I think, more of a technicality rather than the actual thing itself. Let's see, what are we? 3 green. Right? Yeah, ABG. Yeah, okay. And so, but still, this has those two things, right? It has the price point, $200, and lastly, it has the performance, because you are actually pulling your performance from your PlayStation 5, and you're going to get visuals that resemble that of a PlayStation 5 to a certain extent. It's of course not going to be a perfect exact replica of your PlayStation 5, but that's what we're dealing with. Now let's go over to the Lenovo Legion Go. We have performance, absolutely, that is 100% there, and we have portability, but we do not have the ease of use because of Windows 11, and we don't have the price. And I would argue the same thing for something like the Asus ROG Ally and the MSI Claw. Both of those have performance as well as the portability aspect of things, but all of them have pretty heavy dings in the ease of use as well as the price point aspect of things, being upwards of $600 to $700. Sure, you can find them on sale or open box over at Best Buy because they get returned often. That's, something to speak into. But those two devices, very much so ones that have those things kind of working against them, I think, in the long run, right, for most general consumers. And that's really what I'm talking about here, because there's always going to be outliers. There are going to be individuals who are like, it doesn't bother me one bit that there is a Windows 11 operating system on this. I understand Windows 11. I'm familiar with Windows 11. Moving around in this space is not that crazy for me. Totally cool, dude. Like, awesome. I'm not someone who is in that spot. Again, the middle of the night, well, it was, I guess 3 in the morning. And 3 in the morning, I was laying on my couch half asleep, just trying to figure out how to get through the rest of my morning. I wanted to make sure that once I turned on my device, I could get after it immediately. And so that leads me over to the Steam Deck. You guys know how I feel about the Steam Deck, but as I thought more about this and had this experience this morning, I'm like, this really is one of the only devices that has 3 of the 4 versus just 2 of the 4. And that is going to be price, portability, and ease of use. Those 3, just by and large, by themselves, are so powerful. Now, performance-wise, it is not a low performer. In fact, it outperforms the Nintendo Switch, and in a lot of ways can keep up with the ROG Ally as well as the Lenovo Legion Go when they're put against each other in battery mode or low wattage or whatever it may be. They all work relatively similar, if not the same. Where the other 2 eke out more performance is when you plug them in and they have continuous power source. But that ends up lacking in the portability factor, and I would actually take notes away from their portability because the battery life situation is so abysmal and the fans kick on and you have some issues there. But when it comes to the Steam Deck, now this thing isn't dead silent all the time, but I can tell you that when I was playing Monster Hunter Worlds, I have it dialed. I'm getting 45 frames per second. I'm running on higher graphics settings. I have it locked at 45 because the wonderful thing about the 90 hertz refresh rate is you drop it to 45, you lock it at 45, therefore it is pushing half the refresh rate as the actual full capabilities of this panel in here, and you're going to have a really smooth experience. It's not going to screw anything up. Now, this works for me. This is great. It's awesome. At any rate, 45 frames per second playing Monster Hunter Worlds, I am absolutely asking this to do a lot of work. And it does. In fact, I am only able to get about 2.5 hours worth of gameplay out of this guy when I'm playing Monster Hunter Worlds sitting anywhere else. But as the fans kick on and it starts to move, it's not crazy loud, it's not super hot, and I'm not frying any SD cards while I'm doing this. That being said, the biggest plus that I am noticing with something like the Steam Deck over something like the other portable PCs or even the Portal is the ease of use of this thing and the get in, get out, get on with life type of attitude you can have with the gaming device is the absolute perfect pairing for someone like myself who is a portable papa, a flexible location gamer. You see, last night I was playing through Final Fantasy X because I'm trying to get through all of Final Fantasy X on stream with you guys, hanging out in the chat and all that stuff. And I was doing this on the Steam Deck. Docked, we're good to go. Now, while I was doing that, it was great. Everything's all fine and dandy. I'm having a grand old time. Easy, unplug it, play the game, plug it back in, we're good to go. Now, was the docked experience perfect? No, not really. Ran into some issues yesterday, but that's fine. That's just a part of the gig. That's what you have to deal with when it's not the most perfect experience. This is as close as you get to something like the Nintendo Switch. The thing that really was awesome was I noticed in my settings there was an update that needed to take place. And it didn't lock up my system. I didn't have to do the update right away. And all of my games played as normal. Everything was good to go. The update was there to increase different things, fix a couple bugs, but I didn't need to update it in that moment in order for me to get the job done. An experience that I can't say I shared with the ROG Ally or the Legion Go. Those needed more attention. You never knew when you were turning it on if you were going to be able to jump in to a gaming session if something would have been exited out of, or if, worse yet, the whole thing would start an update that you can't stop. You just had this kind of there. Now that is the ambiguity that comes with Windows 11, and while I don't understand Windows 11 perfectly, I'm not going to criticize it more than just saying it is not something that I think is the most exciting operating system to use in a handheld fashion. When you have something that looks like this, that looks like this, that has controller on it, or it's a gamepad, the expectation is that by pressing this button, the power button, you are going to be greeted with some sort of animation, and then upon finishing animation, you are going to be able to play whatever games there are there for you. And if you are in a game, you would be able to quick resume with no issues found. That, for me, is the number one most important thing when it comes to flexible location gaming, as I call it, or being a portable papa, is that these portables need to be doing exactly the job that they're supposed to do. And so when we look back now at this square, for instance, or triangle, however you want to look at it, and you can only pick two, when I'm given an option to actually add a third in there with an asterisk, of course, it is so abundantly clear that that option for me is going to be the right one. And notice I said that, for me. Because I know plenty of people in the comments will be like, yo, the ROG Ally is the best, or the Legion Go is the best. This performance is so important to me. And I think that those are things that you should consider when you're looking into these things. But when I look at something like this that has the portability unlocked, the price point is relatively feasible. Very much so. It's certainly less expensive than the other two options there, more expensive than the Nintendo Switch, and certainly more expensive than the PlayStation Portal. But when I see that this has the price point, it has the performance, the ease of use is there, and as far as portability is concerned, this thing has the best portability out of all of the PCs when it comes to all of the different things there. I look at this thing, I don't think this thing has 2 out of 4 or 3 out of 4. I almost feel like it has all 4 of the criteria matched. And that for me is massive, especially when my use case is something like 3 in the morning. My kid's sick on the couch and I'm holding her, or it's, a night where I want to stream and I just want to get after some gaming. And for those of you who know, you know that everything goes back and forth on this channel because I never know what the right answer is. I'm just trying to work through this on my own. I have, because of some of the stuff the CEO has announced over on Twitch, it's not something I'm going to get into. You can watch plenty of other creators on this. I have decided that I am not comfortable using that platform anymore. And so the streams are over here. Now, if you don't really care about streams, don't worry about it. You don't have to watch a darn thing. I'm just going to stream in the evenings. You guys can hang out in the evenings if you want. The main purpose of the streams in general is kind of like a lab. Though we will be going through games in a somewhat sequential fashion, the goal is to utilize the portable atmosphere of all of these things in hybrid fashion. So whether it's Steam Deck, the Switch, the Super Switch whenever it comes out, or PlayStation's portable whenever they decide to do it, or other gaming handhelds that are hybridable like this little guy. You can actually do hybrid stuff with the Ambernic RG35XX Plus, which I should show that on one of the streams. Whether it's any of those, this is something that I want to showcase in streaming fashion, and that is what I'm going to utilize my evening times to show those off in streams. When looking at these portable devices and trying to figure out which one's which, how am I going to go through it, I think you should look at this triangle or square and really focus in on two of the very most important things to you: performance, portability, price point, ease of use. Out of those four, which two absolutely are crucial, and then the other ones you can kind of fill in slightly? Because realistically, when you look at even life, when it comes to career, sleep, and social life, you can indeed have all three. You just have to balance things a little bit more in a hierarchical fashion. And so when it comes to these, it's very, very similar. For me, the two utmost, most important things, absolutely without doubt, is going to be the portability aspect of things and ease of use. Those two, bar none, are so unbelievably important. And when I look at something like the Steam Deck or the Switch or stuff like that, those two have those locked in. And then price point as well is important to a certain extent. I'll tell you, if the Steam Deck 2 incorporated everything, or let's say that the PlayStation Portal even incorporated every single thing I wanted in a handheld, or Nintendo Switch incorporated every single thing I wanted in a handheld, backwards compatibility for Nintendo Switch, 4K, which I don't really care about, or any of these things, I would pay the price that they ask, upwards $600-700, because it's delivering on the very most important things for me. And those things are absolutely the portability, huge. Hybrid comes into that. When it comes to portability, hybrid nature has to be number one. I need this to be able to do both. This, again, doesn't do it perfectly. It does it the best out of them all, but it doesn't do it perfectly. Nintendo Switch being the 10 out of 10 experience. That being said, your hierarchy is important. So I ask you, when you look at these devices, which ones do you believe are going to fill in that proper order? Which ones are going to grant you the triangle in the proper order? Let me know in the comments below. Join in on streams in the evenings if you want. If you don't want to, just pass. Don't even worry about it. They're not for you if you don't like it. We're just kind of hanging out, having a good time, testing out gear, running through Final Fantasy X on the Steam Deck right now. Hopefully I can finish it before Kingdom Hearts comes out, because then Kingdom Hearts will take over my life, because it's the best franchise ever. And if you haven't watched my video about that, you should go watch that video, because I got really excited about it. All right, I'm gonna try to stay awake for the rest of the day, because unfortunately it is only 7 a.m. yet I've been up since 3. Okay, guys. Well, happy gaming.